Hello everyone, Jonny Skywatcher here. If you don't know who I am, this is my YouTube channel. So normally, for the last couple weeks, I've been doing live streams. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different tonight. I'm recording this beforehand. I already tried recording it once before. Hopefully this works. And then I'm going to post it to see if it does better than with the YouTube algorithm than me just doing live streams. Because so far, when I do live streams, nobody watches, and then YouTube doesn't seem to like it at all, so then I don't get any views. So, no views for me. Anyway, I already did this all once before, so let's get to the first topic, which is going to be first look at Batwoman. Or should I say the second Batwoman, because we already had a Batwoman, which was Ruby Rose. So, if you're not caught up on the news, Ruby Rose, after the first season of Batman, has already quit, and they have cast a second Batwoman. So instead of just recasting the role, which would, in my opinion, make more sense, they've cast a different actress as a different character who is just going to so happen to be Batwoman as well. Who knows how that's going to work? They're probably going to do some stupid mystery for the half or the whole season about where Kate Kane has gone. And now we have a new lesbian Batwoman. Because, of course, she also has to be Batwoman because the first Batwoman was a lesbian. And they can't recast because they'd be... I don't know. It's stupid. Anyway, we got our first look. And it looks bad. So this. I'm not being mean to the actress, but this is coming from, I think, from her. It looks like her Instagram account. Her name is Javicia Leslie. I don't think I've seen her in anything else, but I'm sure she's a fine actress. And this is the first look, and it does not look good. And okay, cards on the table. I didn't think the first Batwoman looked very good. Ruby Rose as Batwoman, I think, looked equally dumb, equally as bad. And let's just take a look at that. So yeah, here's like the first Batwoman, Ruby Rose as Kate Kane and Batwoman. And the thing is, I think, is that the red hair, the unrealistically red-haired wig does not work in live action. I think, I'm pretty close to saying this is a closed case. It just doesn't work. They've tried doing this before with Kate Kane. It doesn't work, and it doesn't work here. The one thing I will say about this is it could evolve, it could change. This is probably, I'm assuming, the character taking the costume from Kate Kane, and this is probably her first 3 or so episodes with the costume, and they'll probably modify it. Hopefully, I would, think. I think from what they've said, it sounds like they are going to change it for this new character. Now, the question is, will that be an improvement or not? Who knows? I think the first thing they got to do is lose the red wig. It doesn't work. It may look cool in the comic book art, but in live action, no, it doesn't work. For one thing, okay, the way they draw it in the comic book, which I have too many windows open right now, and now I gotta go back and look for it because, of course, I can't have anything queued up the way I would want it queued up because, nothing's working for me today. So let's just look at the Batwoman artwork, okay? Not the Batwoman, okay, not the Batwoman fan artwork. But the actual, okay, let me see, Batwoman cover artwork. Because I want to actually look at official Batwoman artwork, some of which it's still showing the CW show, which I did not want, but here we go. We got some actual Batwoman artwork For one thing, when it comes to the hair in the artwork, of course, is always flowing and going around and stuff. It doesn't work like that in live action with a wig, and kind of a bad wig. And it kind of ends up looking like it kind of looks like Batwoman is just in drag. That's what it ends up looking like. This doesn't look good. And I think the other element that's not really working about this is the mask. The mask is made to look like just like Batman, like a cinematic Batman that we're familiar with, rather than trying to be its own thing. And that increases, I feel like, the feeling of like it's a cow for one thing, because in this adaptation at least, Kate Kane took the costume, which was literally Bruce Wayne's Batman costume, and made it fit herself, right? And then now I'm assuming that this new character, Riley or whatever it is, I forget, is taking that costume and is probably going to adapt it to herself. But it doesn't, it just looks like Batman in a wig, and it doesn't look good. If I were running the show, that's the first thing it would change. Get rid of that costume, change it to something else. Even if you go look at the artwork, some of the artwork for Batwoman, it doesn't necessarily look like a cowl. Like here it kind of does, but sometimes it looks more like a mask, just a mask. But I guess, yeah, you do kind of get that cowl line. I would change it to just a mask, make it different from the cinematic Batman, because look at that hair. That's unrealistic. I think unless you have the budget to do CGI red hair and make it look like the comics, just cast a natural red hair and just live with the fact that it's not as red as in the comic book art, which it's not always. Hair doesn't look this red in real life, and also most of the time she's portrayed as being really pale, like unnaturally vampire-like pale. People aren't this naturally pale. Anyway, oh my gosh, totally messed up there. Anyway, I gotta edit this down, and hopefully I can edit it. Anyway, what do you think about that? Are you looking forward to Batwoman Season 2, or are you more like me, kind of not really feeling it? I didn't even watch the first season. I am considering watching the first season and doing some videos on it if people are interested in it. Let me know in the comments below. And then with that, let's move on to the second topic, which is going to be Hyrule Warriors. So we got a first look at Hyrule Warriors gameplay at the Tokyo Game Show. So it's typical Hyrule Warriors gameplay, I think, for the most part. I never played the first game, but I have seen gameplay. 1v100 is the main thing. You're attacking way more people than you normally would in Breath of the Wild, but it's different gameplay. It looks interesting. For the most part, I would say, for me personally, it's not necessarily the kind of game I would really be that interested in, because it kind of looks a little repetitive, but when it's wrapped around this kind of story, it gets me excited. And there is one thing I wanted to talk about, which I have some thoughts about. We got to see the first look at the egg in gameplay. We still don't know what it does or what it's about, but we got some interesting hints. There's young Impa, who's going. Also, we saw in the second, also on the first day, we saw she is a playable character, which looks pretty cool. And she's here. She's holding the Sheikah Slate, and she throws the Sheikah Slate. And then this is the interesting part, in that before it reaches Link, it activates, which also activates this little egg guy. And then a couple seconds later, it results in the tower. So that's a big mystery. I'm assuming they'll probably delve more into the story, and that's sort of going to be the new element, because I know you have some people saying, well, technically we already know how this story goes. We saw it in the flashbacks. You find the champions, you find the divine beasts, just to tame the divine beast or whatever. You get named champions, and then you go to the springs. Zelda prays, and it's not working, and then Ganon attacks. The champions die, and then Link pretty much almost dies, and then Zelda puts him in the Shrine of Resurrection, or has Impa put him in the Shrine of Resurrection, and then goes off to face Ganon and sort of locks him in a time prison or whatever, and then, flash forward 100 years, and you get to the beginning of the game. So I think this is probably going to be the new element that just adds some new things. There are things that we don't know about what happens, and I think this egg thing is going to be it. My current thoughts are that the egg is related to the Sheikah Slate and to the towers. Maybe it's some sort of signal booster or whatever, or maybe when Impa threw the Sheikah Slate to Link, it activated because he's the champion, and this is how they find out that Link is the champion. Maybe this is the beginning of the game. Before this, he's just a really skilled swordsman, and nobody considers him this special. And this is the beginning of how he begins to be known as special, and how he gets to be kind of like Zelda's bodyguard. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to the game. What do you think? Are you looking forward to this game? Do you play Hyrule Warriors? If you played the first Hyrule Warriors, are you looking forward to it? Let me know in the comments below, and then I'll move on to the last topic. I'm going a little bit faster than I was before, but that's because I pretty much already covered all of this. Hopefully you recorded this time. Okay. So I just wanted to cover the weekend box office really quickly this time, because like I said, I already covered this. Tenet was number 1 in the domestic box office at 3.4 million, which really isn't that great. I know that I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers wants Tenet to do much better than that, followed by New Mutants at 1.172 million. Unhinged and Star Wars Episode 5 had a re-release. Infidel, The Broken Hearts Gallery, and then some limited films I never heard of. I think I talked about Shortcut. Shortcut was in wide release, I think, and I think these were limited release and didn't do much better. And it looks like it was in less theaters. That's weird. I think it was weird that it was labeled as wide release if it was only in 725 theaters. That might have been a mistake on Box Office Mojo's part. It might have changed from what the original plan was. I've noticed some things on the site aren't really getting updated really all that well. And then the other thing I wanted to look at was China's box office. And as I predicted, Mulan did not do all that well. It did actually make more than 1 million. I think I was saying it could come below 1 million. It did slightly over 1 million, 1.18 million. And then onwards there for some reason. And I don't think that's necessarily all of the story, but it's hard to find information about the box office. I think here we go. Oh, okay, I think we got more up-to-date box office for it. Okay, this one looks much more up-to-date on the numbers, even before when I recorded earlier. So we got a drama, a Chinese drama, I'm assuming, came in number 1 at 20, almost 25 million. Can't speak. As well as the second one, Tenet is number 3, probably. Don't see any numbers because this still looks pretty incomplete. Mulan reporting that same number. So Mulan, Tenet not doing that much better than Mulan. It does have, I think, one more. It's one week ahead of Mulan, so you would think it'd be the other way. So it is doing a little bit better, but not that much better. I don't think I've seen anyone talk about how Tenet isn't really doing that well. It's making money, but it's not. People are always talking about how Mulan didn't do that well in China because this idea that Disney pandered to China and then it didn't really do that well. Okay, well, Tenet didn't do well in really all that well in China either, but nobody seems to care. It is getting bigger numbers worldwide in general, you know, over 200 million, but very weak domestic box office. If we go look at, if I can click back on this. So if you look at its overall numbers, 284 million, but like most people are saying, it needs over like 400 million just to break even. And keep in mind, just because you see this number 284 million does not mean the studios get 284 million. They probably get maybe half. I don't know. You know, like all these things with the theaters and movies and how much they get, it seems to change based on the studio and even on the movie, so it seems to be very complicated. But in general, I think they've been saying like Tenet has a deal to where it's getting 63% of domestic grosses, which still pretty low, 41, and I'm going to guess this usually lower for international. Like I've read that sometimes, especially in China, it can be as low as like the studios only get a third. But like I said, it can change. So this 284 million might be more like 140 million when it comes to what the studios actually get. And for a $200 million, where they spent a lot of money on marketing, even if on the low end, they probably spent at least 100 million. That's 300 million. So, and you're talking about they probably only made 100, let's say 200 million maybe. They're still missing out like 100 million to break even. And that's on the like very, very positive side to them. So I don't know why more people aren't talking about that. I mean, sure, it's doing better than Mulan. And then the fact is, we don't know how well Mulan's done on Disney Plus. You know, we kind of have to wait for like a earnings call for Disney to give some sort of statistic. They'll probably say something like, in the, you know, our third quarter, 30 this amount of percent of U.S. subscribers watched Mulan. And people will be able to sort of guesstimate, like, well, what does that mean for the world? And then that's the other thing with Mulan. I've seen a lot of people always talking about the domestic, but they keep forgetting that Mulan's international isn't going to be very well either, because it's on Disney Plus in all the territories where Disney Plus is available, which is, I think, most of Europe as well. Not just domestic, but also most of Europe has Disney Plus. UK definitely has Disney Plus. So I don't think you should discount that. I'm not saying either way. Anyway, I think that's going to bring it to a close. Hopefully this recorded successfully. I'll have to check on it. If you watched the end of this video, thank you. Let me quickly say, if you haven't subscribed yet, just click that subscribe button. Go ahead and click that like button. You know, comment something if you feel like it. No pressure. And tomorrow I will be streaming at 7 p.m. because I'm going to alternate to see how that works with the numbers. If YouTube likes it better when I don't stream, or you know, I'm gonna test a few things and see how it works out. And I will see you. Okay, well, yeah, like I said, this is kind of all over the place because I was recording it for the second time. And yeah, hopefully you like this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.